Userkaf, known in ancient Greek as Say, Usercherês, was a pharaoh of ancient Egypt and the founder of the Fifth Dynasty. He reigned for 7 to 8 years in the early 25th century BC, during the Old Kingdom period. He probably belonged to a branch of the Fourth Dynasty royal family, although his parentage is uncertain. He could have been the son of Khentkaus I. He had at least one daughter and very probably a son, Sahure, with his consort Neferhetepes. This son succeeded him as pharaoh. His reign heralded the ascendancy of the cult of Ra, who effectively became Egypt's state god during the Fifth Dynasty. Userkaf may have been a high priest of Ra before ascending the throne, and built a sun temple, known as the Nekhanner, between Abu Sir and Abu Ghurab. In doing so, he instituted a tradition followed by his successors over a period of 80 years. The Nekhanner mainly functioned as a mortuary temple for the setting sun. Rites performed in the temple were primarily concerned with Ra's creator function and his role as father of the king. Taken with the reduction in the size of the royal mortuary complex, this suggests a more concrete separation between the sun god and the king than in the preceding dynasties. After Userkaf's death, his temple was the subject of 4 building phases, during which it acquired a large obelisk. Userkaf built a pyramid in Sahure close to that of Djoser, a location that forced architects to put the associated mortuary temple in an unusual position, to the south of the pyramid. The latter was much smaller than those built during the Fourth Dynasty, but the mortuary complex was lavishly and extensively decorated with fine painted reliefs. In addition to his own pyramid and temple, Userkaf built a smaller pyramid close to his for one of his queens, likely Neferhetepes. Although Userkaf was the object of a funerary cult after his death like the other Fifth Dynasty kings, his was relatively unimportant, and was abandoned after the end of the dynasty. Little is known of his activities beyond the construction of his pyramid and sun temple. The Old Kingdom royal annals record offerings of beer, bread and lands to various gods, some of which may correspond to building projects on Userkaf's behalf, including the Temple of Montu in El Tad, where he is the earliest attested pharaoh. Beyond the borders of Egypt, a military expedition to Canaan or the eastern desert may have taken place, and trade contacts with the Aegean seem to have existed at the time. The identity of Userkaf's parents is uncertain, but he undoubtedly had family connections with the rulers of the preceding Fourth Dynasty. 925-26, Egyptologist Miroslav Werner proposes that he was a son of Menkaure by one of his secondary queens. Note 2, and possibly a full brother to his predecessor and the last king of the Fourth Dynasty, Shepseskv. 27-28. Alternatively, Nicholas Grimal, Peter Clayton and Michael Rice propose that Userkaf was the son of a Neferhetepes, 2930, whom Grimal, Giovanna Magi and Rice see as a daughter of Jadefer and Hetepheres 223-31-32. The identity of Neferhetepes' husband in this hypothesis is unknown, but Grimal conjectures that he may have been the priest of Ra, lord of Sakibu, mentioned in Westcar Papyrus. Note 334, Aidan Dodson and Diane Hilton propose that Neferhetepes was buried in the pyramid next to that of Userkaf. Note 4, which is believed to have belonged to a woman of the same name. Note 535. The location of the pyramid attributed to Neferhetepes, however, strongly suggests that she may instead have been Userkaf's wife. If so, she should be identified with the Neferhetepes who is the mother of Userkaf's successor and likely son, Sahure. 35. A relief from Sahure's causeway depicts this king and his queen together with the king's mother, identified as a Neferhetepes, which very likely makes her Userkaf's wife. 37. Like Grimal, Yaramir Malik sees her as a daughter of Jadefer and Hetepheres 225. Following this hypothesis, Mark Lehner also suggests that Userkaf's mother may have been Khentkaus I, an idea shared by Ariel Kozlov. 1538. Dodson and Hilton argue that Neferhetepes is not given the title of king's wife in later documents pertaining to her mortuary cult, although they note that this absence is inconclusive. 35. They propose that Userkaf's queen may have been Khentkaus I, a hypothesis shared by Salim Hassan. 35-39. Clayton and Rosalie and Anthony David concur, further positing that Khentkaus I was Menkaure's daughter. 40-41. Bernhard Gertzloff argues that Userkaf, as a descendant of Pharaoh Jadefer marrying a woman from the main royal line, that of Khafra and Menkaure, could have unified two rival factions within the royal family and ended possible dynastic struggles. 1242. Alternatively, Userkaf could have been the high priest of Ra before ascending the throne, giving him sufficient influence to marry Shepsesk's widow in the person of Khentkaus I. Note 64950. Many Egyptologists, including Werner, Zemina, David, and Baker, believe that Sahure was Userkaf's son rather than his brother as suggested by the Westcar Papyrus. 5152. The main evidence is a relief showing Sahure and his mother Neferhetepes, this being also the name of the queen who is believed to have owned the pyramid next to Userkaf's. 37. An additional argument supporting the filiation of Sahure is the location of his pyramid in close proximity to Userkaf's Sun Temple. 53. No other child of Userkaf has been identified except a daughter named Kamat, mentioned in inscriptions uncovered in the mastaba of Tashepses. 54. The exact duration of Userkaf's reign is unknown. Given the historical and archaeological evidence, the consensus among Egyptologists is that he ruled for 7 to 8 years 1155, 56, 57, at the start of Egypt's Fifth Dynasty. 15. First, an analysis of the nearly contemporaneous Old Kingdom royal annals shows that Userkaf's reign was recorded on 8 compartments corresponding to at least 7 full years but not much more. Note 760, the latest legible year recorded on the annals for Userkaf is that of his third cattle count, to evaluate the amount of taxes to be levied on the population. This significant event is believed to have been biennial during the Old Kingdom period, meaning that the third cattle count represents the 6th year of his reign. The same count is also attested in a mason's inscription found on a stone of Userkaf's Sun Temple. Note 861, second, Userkaf is given a reign of 7 years on the third column, row 17, of the Turin Royal Canon, 67, a document copied during the reign of Ramses II from earlier sources. 68, third, very few small artifacts bearing Userkaf's name have been found, witnessing a short reign. These include a gold-mounted diorite jar, 69, a 5-Deben stone weight 70, and a stone cylinder seal from Elephantine, now all in the Metropolitan Museum of Art, as well as an ivory cylinder seal in the British Museum 71, and yet another seal in the Bulak Museum. 72-73. The only historical source favoring a longer reign is the Egyptaica. Pt. A. A history of Egypt written in the 3rd century BC, during the reign of Ptolemy II, 283 to 246 BC, by Manetho. No copies of the Egyptaica have survived and it is now known only through later writings by Sextus Julius Africanus and Eusebius. According to the Byzantine scholar George Syncellus, Africanus wrote that the Egyptaica mentioned the succession Usercherês, Sephers, Neferhetepes at the start of the Fifth Dynasty. Usercherês, Sephers, and Neferhetepes are believed to be the Hellenized forms for Userkaf, Sahure, and Neferurkar, respectively. 74. In particular, Manetho's reconstruction of the early Fifth Dynasty is in agreement with those given on the Abydos king list and the Saqqara tablet, 2 lists of kings written during the reigns of Seti I and Ramses II, respectively. 75. In contrast with the Turin canon, Africanus's report of the Egyptaica estimates that Userkaf reigned for 28 years, 74, much longer than the modern consensus. 1155, 56, 57. The division of ancient Egyptian kings into dynasties is an invention of Manetho's Egyptaica, intended to adhere more closely to the expectations of Manetho's patrons, the Greek rulers of Ptolemaic Egypt. 77. A distinction between the Fourth and Fifth Dynasties may nonetheless have been recognized by the ancient Egyptians, as recorded by a much older tradition 25, found in the Tale of the Westcar Papyrus. In this story, King Khufu of the Fourth Dynasty is foretold the demise of his line and the rise of a new dynasty through the accession of 3 brothers, sons of Ra, to the throne of Egypt. This tale dates to the 17th or possibly the 12th dynasty. 76. Beyond such historical evidence, the division between the Fourth and Fifth Dynasties seems to reflect actual changes taking place at the time, in particular in Egyptian religion, and in the king's role. 78. Ra's primacy over the rest of the Egyptian pantheon and the increased royal devotion given to him made Ra a sort of state god. 56-79, a novelty in comparison with the Fourth Dynasty, when more emphasis was put on royal burials.